On this week's episode, we are back with more thoughts on Avengers Infinity War, the future of The Walking Dead, and should The Simpsons call it a day after year 30? Don't have a cow, man, as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse. And we are back once again with the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glasser from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being part of the broadcast here today and tuning in each week to our Monday and Friday shows. But it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my good friend. He has reappeared, and the rumors that he actually did disintegrate along with half the universe is totally unfounded. But he is the man, the myth, the legend. Behind Humanica Media, it's Josh Peterson. Plus, he has a guest alongside him. Isn't that correct, my friend?
That's correct.
Sorry, say that again. I had you muted just now.
Oh, God, you
because
suck.
I did not want to hear your voice.
Well, I don't want to hear my voice either, but
I was talking. I always want to hear your voice, Gerald. I'm talking about my partner in crime here, the Doctor Strange to my Tony Stark.
Well, then, how's it going, my friend?
It's going good, man. How are you?
All right, all right. Don't you have a special guest with us as well?
Yeah, we're joined here by Big Dog. What's up, man?
What's up? What's up?
Big Dog, indeed. It is a pleasure having you on the broadcast as well. Once again, we're going to be talking a lot of great stuff out there. Obviously, we're going to go into big-time spoilers on Avengers Infinity War, share more extensive thoughts on today's program, plus also as well, Rob McCallum comes back in the Cosmic Crossfire to talk The Simpsons and, well, you know, how much gas is left into the tank of The Simpsons show. Do we think it should fold now? Do we think it should just go on to year 30 or more? We're going to share our thoughts on that. Plus, later in the broadcast, Daphne Matthew from the Walking Dead fan base, one of the largest Walking Dead fan groups out there, is going to share her thoughts on the future of the Walking Dead, where she thinks the series will go, because there's a lot of questions coming off season 8 of The Walking Dead, and also where Fear of the Walking Dead may go as well. But first, we're here to talk some spoilers for Avengers Infinity War. You have been warned. There is, again, spoilers. So this show is all about talking about a lot of great stuff going on in Avengers Infinity War. So first off, Josh, you have rematerialized. Again, the rumors are unfounded that you got zapped out with a trillion other people in Infinity War. So, my friend, it's good to have you back. What are your thoughts, again, fully on Avengers Infinity War now that you can go ahead and spoil it for everyone out there that's already seen, of course?
I liked it. It was not what I thought it would be. The Russos did a great job of kind of redirecting you in the with the trailers. They distracted you. I know we mentioned this, but they distracted you by putting things in it that weren't real. So now you kind of got a glimpse of what I was talking about the other night with the Hulk in the trailers, and everyone's like, "Oh, the Hulk's gonna put on the Hulkbuster armor," and he did not. And then,
well, he kind of did.
He kind of did. It was Bruce put on the stuff, and like that whole thing when he was fighting the Hulk. I want to know why that was happening. They never really mentioned.
Because he got smashed by Thanos and he didn't want to come out.
So he's having performance anxiety.
I think so.
Okay. Well, they did a good job of kind of like closing the arcs on some of the other stories. I've been reading like what happened to Valkyrie and what's the blue guy's name?
Which blue guy?
From Ragnarok?
Korg,
yeah.
Oh, the actual directors, the one that's voiced by the actual director of Thor Ragnarok.
Right. So everyone's talking about how he's just floating out in space somewhere because they mentioned that only half of the Asgardians died on the Ark. The rest are just kind of floating around because I guess they can survive in space.
And then also Xandar. One of the things that was a little bit of an issue with me was the destruction of Xandar. Is the whole thing done? Is it like you said, half is destroyed? because we didn't get to see any of that. It was just mentioned in passing, a lot like some of the things that they've done previously in other Marvel films. They just meant Thor just mentioned it in passing, just like he did with his relationship with Jane Foster.
Yeah, that was weird to me. What did you think of that?
Which part?
When he talks about how when Thor talks about how Xandar was destroyed, because it seems to me,
I think it would have been better if they had said, like, after he decimated the Nova Corps, because the Nova Corps were the ones that were guarding the stone, not the Xandar Empire or whatever.
That's what I was saying, because
I think they were trying to reference that he just decimated the Nova Corps and took the stone.
Okay, because it seems to me that if he were to show up on that planet, that they would put up a pretty epic fight, and that would be something that would be worth showing audiences.
I think so too. But do you think that they're going to want to save that for the next Guardians movie? That they're going to reference it or do flashbacks?
I wonder, because also there was talk about Nova appearing at some point too.
And Adam Warlock as well.
Adam Warlock.
Well, don't you think this could be a good introduction to Nova? They decimated the Nova Corps, so have to come up with something new.
Because Nova is kind of like Captain Marvel, though. He's an Earthling who kind of inherit. Or wait, no, maybe that's Sentry I'm thinking of. I don't know. I got to go back and read these comics again. But no, I mean, overall, like, the movie was good. I liked the pairings. What did Gerald? What did you think of the pairings of characters? What was your thoughts on that?
I thought the best pairing was Tony Stark and Doctor Strange. The way they played off of each other initially and actually throughout the movie, up into the end where it becomes a full 180, where they finally respect each other enough to the point where Doctor Strange sacrifices the stone to save Tony Stark. And not only just to save Tony Stark, but just because that was the only possible outcome in Doctor Strange's mind about what could happen.
But what? Okay, that's what I wanted to ask you too. What he had a plan, obviously, but what do you think that plan entails?
Well, obviously that entails somehow them garnering either the stone to go back in time, or if everybody's trapped in the Soul Stone, then maybe going ahead and trying to see what they can do to release those souls back out of the Soul Stone, or somehow going ahead and finding Thanos once again and trying to see what they can do to lay a better plan out this time than what they have done before.
Because
just don't have the Guardians of the Galaxy do it.
Right. Well, I mean, there's only one of them left, so it's not the Guardian of the Galaxy, I guess. No, but it seems to me that there's, I don't know, something exciting needs to happen, because Thanos is no longer on the prowl. Okay, he accomplished what he what he set out to accomplish. His dudes are dead, but he's just relaxing in that his lakeside cottage or whatever that is. And he's not prowling across the galaxy. Somebody knows where he is, but it's not like it seems like it'd be a kind of a boring story to have them all just like show up on his doorstep and go, "Oh, guess what? We're here. Let's turn the time back and we'll take care of all this stuff." So I want to know, like, what's going to happen. How is Captain Marvel going to tie into all of this?
Yeah, exactly. But there's another question I want to ask Big Dog. What do you think about all the Phase 1 Avengers? Presumably Hawkeye is alive and well, as Also, what are your thoughts on the Phase 1 Avengers actually being alive and well, and maybe disproportionately alive compared to some of the newer, more recent ones? Like, for instance, Black Panther and Spider-Man both getting materialized at the same point in time.
I think that they had to do that because they're going to close out those stories soon and within the next movie. And so they wanted to feature them heavily. So I think that they're going to try to close out their stories. Possibly, I don't know if if the actors are going to walk away from the characters or what they're going to do. But I think that they had to, so that they would feature heavily in the next film, which is the final Avengers film, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Avengers 4,
of
right?
this story arc.
Of this story arc, yeah.
But like the newer characters, why do you think they did that with like Spider-Man, Doctor Strange?
Just because I think that they weren't as, I don't want to say as beloved as the originals, but kind of towards that point.
Okay.
Or they were the fresher faces, so you feel more of a loss because you just got introduced to those characters not too long ago.
That kind of seems like that's why they did that with Black Panther, though, because he's so loved, and like, what better way shock the audience than to just destroy Black Panther.
Well, Black Panther, almost the entire Guardians of the Galaxy, uh, a bunch of smaller minor characters, not minor, but you know what I mean, not main to the story.
Right.
But you still have, Iron Man, Cap, Thor. Did the Hulk survive? He did, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so pretty much everybody, even I think Scarlett Johansson, she lived.
Yeah, she did. And I mean, as far as we know, Hawkeye and Ant-Man are still around.
I'm curious to see if Hawkeye pops up in Ant-Man and Wasp at some point in time.
In the credits, I guarantee you he will. But okay, Gerald, let me ask you this.
Well, I want to say this. I think that in one of the last scenes of Ant-Man and the Wasp, I'm going to say it now, or in one of the end credit scenes, he gets sorry about that. Commercial was playing in my ears. Let me get back to what I was saying. I think that at some point in time during the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie, or near the end, or in the end credit scene, I think Ant-Man's going to get materialized, and the Wasp is the one that's going to be the one that gets saved.
That's a good theory.
Because she said she is in Evangeline Lilly has said that she is in Avengers 4.
Cool. All right.
I can see that. Okay, let me ask you this. Okay, I have this theory going on that they're not dead. They're dead in this world, but what if they pop up on an alternate timeline, and then Captain Marvel is the only one that can go to that timeline?
Well, that would probably cement her role as one of the foundation characters in the next phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which I definitely think they're trying to accomplish with that, along with Doctor Strange and Black Panther.
Because think about this. Yeah, exactly. And think about this. Wasp can go into they discovered how to get into the quantum realm. And I think the Ant-Man and Wasp is kind of going to solidify that.
Well, they've already it's already there. It's heavy into the quantum realm.
Yeah. So what if through the quantum realm they find a way into this other timeline or whatever, where the heroes still exist, and they try to find a way. I don't know. I'm just shooting at straws here, but like a way to bring them back like that. Because what happened to the stones at the end? Did Thanos? I saw the gauntlet got crushed. What happened?
I think he burnt out the glove doing that.
Okay, but the stones are still.
Yeah, the stones are still there.
Intact.
The glove is just mangled.
I'm just trying. Like I've been racking my brain with this, trying to figure out what are they going to do. Like, what is the next possible place?
They could shrink down into the quantum realm to get into the Soul Stone where everybody might be?
I wonder. That's another good theory. Gerald, thoughts?
I think that's that is a good theory, and that's because there has to be, I think, a back door or a way to get in there, but it has to avoid time travel because, as I mentioned to you a couple of weeks ago, the Chinese marketplace does not want anything to do with time travel in their movies. So that's kind of a large base of money you would be throwing away if you went into a time travel type scenario. So if you're looking for a back door, that could be one way that that could be one way right there to accomplish your mission.
Since we saw that you can destroy an Infinity Stone, do you think that could be the way to get everybody back? Is you destroy the Soul Stone, possibly, or whatever it's possibly keeping them out that will bring them back, so to avoid the time?
Well, only Wanda could destroy the Soul Stone. She's gone.
Well, that's as far as you know. They could. Miss Marvel could be the one. Maybe the pre-experiment was that they experimented with the Infinity Stone.
Oh, maybe. That's a good thought. Okay. Well, yeah, that's clever. So, what do you think of? This is what I wanted to talk to you about. The end credit scene with Samuel L. Jackson and Captain Marvel. How do you think he's connected to her? Because in the pictures we saw on the internet, he had some kind of prosthetic on him. Do you think that he's actually a Kree or a Skrull, possibly?
I mentioned to you this before a few weeks ago as well. I certainly hope that's not the case, but when it may be a diversion or of some type, but I hope not. But I think there probably is a connection, and it could very well be that he is a Kree after all, and that he's, that's the connection therein. I'm hoping that's not the case, but I think that could be a great possibility. It's just interesting to see her being mentioned at that last minute, because she did film scenes in Avengers 3 Infinity War, but unfortunately they got tossed out on the cutting room floor. So at this point in time, she is somewhat of a surprise in what she's going to do. And I guess more is going to be brought to light in her movie when it comes out in February. So that's, I have a feeling it's going to come down to Samuel Jackson's character being a Kree, but that's, to me, that's very unfortunate, because I wanted his character to stay just Nick Fury, because as you and I both have experienced in the comic books, Nick Fury is just, his character doesn't deviate like that, no matter which Nick Fury or Nick Fury Jr. or whatever has taken place.
Yeah, yeah, it's he's the constant. Like everyone says, it's Tony Stark that holds the universe together. Yeah, maybe, but I think that Nick Fury is kind of just as responsible for that.
He's just not out in the light.
Yeah, yeah, he's just not out there as much. I imagine like if he were in every movie, like they would be even more expensive to make.
Do you think that in her movie, to avoid to avoid him being a Skrull or a Kree or whatever, do you think that he was like, because it's supposed to take place in the 90s, correct?
Yes.
So that's before all the Avengers and all that other stuff happened. So do you think that whatever happens then, and then she wants to like go into like witness protection or something like that, to where you can call me if you absolutely need me.
I
And
wonder,
that's what the beeper was for.
kind of like a Steve Rogers situation.
Yeah, it's kind of like what the pager was for. Is that he was calling her as a last resort.
Something in the movie must have taken place where it necessitated her just saying, you know what, this point, I may have too much power for everything. I just don't want to deal with it. I'm just going to go into a dark corner of the universe and don't call me unless you need me type scenario.
Yeah, that makes sense.
As a last resort, because even you notice that wasn't played out with the Avengers or at any other point in time when Earth or the galaxy was threatened. It's just only now that this point in time is she called upon.
Yeah, this was, and that's another thing they did well in this movie. They kind of like they didn't make it so you weren't waiting for the characters to believe the story of Thanos. They're kind of just like, all right, cool, this is happening. Let's take care of it. Like the whole thing when
Well, they knew about it from the first Avengers when he sent the Chitauri.
yeah, no, they knew about it, but like they didn't have to go into like this whole thing of like disbelief. There
No,
was
they never mentioned his name though, because remember, Thor presses Loki on who taught him this and who's dealing with Shatari, but they never mentioned exactly who the individual was. We only saw as an audience exactly who was behind all of that.
Well, they did kind of show a little bit of disbelief because Bruce Banner was having to like try to convince people that no, he's real and he's serious, and you need to take it seriously. When he got back to talking with Tony, he's trying to convince him, no, this is serious. Because Tony was like, I don't really want to get involved, and I don't do that anymore. And then he was like, no, you need to take this seriously.
Absolutely. And then right after the destruction of that area with New York, and then Doctor Strange getting kidnapped and all that took place.
So next movie, do you think it's going to pick up in the aftermath? Like, do you think it's going to take place directly after? So they're going to be kind of dealing with the loss of these characters. Are we going to see how Aunt May reacts to, or maybe she's gone too, or like how the loved ones are going to react to these characters dying? Are they going to remember them? How is this going to happen?
I think it will take place shortly thereafter. The incidents that took place and all the deaths and the disappearances of not only Avengers but everybody else. So definitely it's going to be something that probably comes right after the events of Infinity War, and I think you just lead into there because it isn't, to me, an outstanding film. Once again, I highly recommend everyone seeing it. It's better if you go in with some knowledge of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It makes more sense that way, but definitely is something that you have to go out of your way to see. I just think it is, for all intents and purposes, an outstanding part one of a two-part miniseries almost, because it will be probably almost about 6 hours of actual movie that you need to see in order to get this whole thing fully viewed and the whole story fleshed out in its entirety.
So Gerald, I just want to know, what movies do you suggest people watch before they go see this to get as much of the story without watching every single film? What are your essentials to pre-watching the Infinity War?
Probably the ones I would say would be starting off with Captain America: First Avenger, Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy. I guess the Thor movies, even though they're kind of bad, but yes, the two Thor movies.
Winter Soldier.
Uh, Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier, you don't really need to see, but you should see it anyways because it is the best Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. Although I'm toying with putting Infinity War somewhere in my top 3. I have to see it again to figure out where it goes.
Real quick, Winter Soldier, that disappointed me so much because they like built his character up in Black Panther and Winter Soldier to make him seem like he's so important, and he's so cool, and he's basically like a cooler version of Captain America, and all he really did in that whole battle was shoot a gun and twirl Rocket Raccoon around.
Exactly. Even in the scene, just as they're heading into battle, you see Captain America and Black Panther just like doing their super dash, and you don't see Winter Soldier doing the same thing. And didn't we just see that in Captain America: Civil War, where they were all running at the same high speed? It didn't make any sense that they put him back. They put him on the back burner and really subdued his character.
Well, do you think it could have been because didn't T'Challa mention something where he's had enough of war and conflict or something?
I mean,
And he was a little hesitant. And plus, Captain America himself wasn't heavily featured in this film. I mean, he was in the film, but he wasn't like focal point. He didn't have a lot of dialogue or anything like that. So do you think
And that's one of the issues I have with the film is I don't think there was enough Captain America and his troop. There was maybe a little bit too much of the Thor issue, but I know that's the part you like best. Like that you like best, Josh, but maybe a little bit less could have been done, but it's still very entertaining to me overall as far as that part of the storyline. But I would have liked to have seen more of Cap's troop.
well, let me ask you this. So it kind of felt to me that in the battle for Wakanda, this is going to sound really stupid, but like there was more focus on the Wakandans than there was the Avengers.
I'm not surprised about that because obviously the coming off the great vibes of Black Panther, maybe they either did some reshoots or they anticipated the love for that movie was going to be strong, even for a movie that just came out in February. And I think I think that was a wise move by the Russos to do so because of the fact that they understood it's fresh off of Black Panther. And I think at this point in time, people are familiar with what they've seen the most recently, and that was the great soldiers of Wakanda that were in Black Panther.
Well, maybe they had to because they killed off Black Panther at the end, so they felt like they had to feature something. Like,
that's a good point. That's a good point.
Character, he just had his own movie. Now you're gonna kill him.
I mean, it's good shock value, if anything.
But it also makes it unbelievable. I mean, when Spider-Man and Black Panther die, you know they're going to be resurrected because they're already talked about a Spider Homecoming 2 that's already going to go into production. They've already talked about a Black Panther 2 that's going to go into production. So you know they're going to be brought back in some form or fashion. So doesn't that Big Dog or Josh or Big Dog, does that make sense as a moviegoer, you don't actually believe that they're actually gone forever because you know that there's sequels coming up for both of them?
Yeah, I think that when they said that all deaths were final, they were not really. Like Josh said, maybe that the deaths in that reality were real, and they're bringing back the same people from different realities or in the multiverse or whatever,
like Fringe.
Yeah, I think they were more hinting to like certain characters were only going to be dead like forever. I'm curious to see if Loki's really dead
or Gamora.
But I do feel
or Vision for that matter.
Yeah. I'm just sitting here floating in space, stuff. I'm Korg.
The revolution.
Yeah, I didn't pen enough pamphlets, but you kind of knew that they were going to come back at some fashion because you can't just stop everybody's movies or story arcs,
right?
Like, we just want to kill off this revenue, but I feel like
who are we? DC?
Yeah, certain characters I think will stay dead, but I don't think the ones that after Thanos, did his thing, I think those people could be brought back, but I think everybody who was killed before that, I think are kind of gone.
Speaking of deaths, one thing I really did love in this movie was the callback to Red Skull.
Oh yeah.
That was like, I didn't like his character in Captain America, the first Avenger, but just
And that's where I disagree with you. I think he was great in Captain America.
no, he was good. Like the actor was great, but I feel like it was kind of the last little fight they had. I feel like that was just kind of
Anticlimactic.
Oh, just a throw in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I liked seeing what happened to him. Was that Hugo Weaving that played him in the movie?
No, that was, I believe, Ross Marquardt, who plays Aaron in The Walking Dead.
Okay.
Hugo Weaving said in a 2012 interview that he did it once. He liked what he did with it, but never wants to do it again. So I don't know if he actually liked it or not, but he said that publicly. So he made inferences already that he never wanted anything to do with the character again. So Ross Marquardt, who I guess is known for doing a lot of impersonations, got to do chance to do it. I guess he auditioned with the Russos and they brought him in to do that role. So whether or not it leads to anything more, we'll have to wait and see.
One thing that I didn't like about the movie is how everybody just kind of glossed over the events of Civil War and how there was this huge rift. And I know they referenced it with General Ross and all that, but it was kind of just glossed over. It like when the whole Bruce Banner and the Hulk came back, he was just kind of like, well, why aren't you talking to him? And they just kind of glossed over it.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think of that, Gerald? It felt like the threats were kind of hollow. Like, why did Civil War happen? Because Ross didn't. He's like, all right, arrest those men, Rhodey, and Rhodey's like, yeah, not sure, and then he just hangs up on him. But like, they didn't do anything. There was no follow up action with that. So just making it seem like the whole Sokovia Accord thing was kind of a hollow threat.
Well, that's one thing I thought about as well. There's no armed forces of any kind from any country outside of the Avengers in this movie. And that seems kind of ridiculous when you consider the fact that SHIELD and other armed forces have been throughout the actual Marvel Cinematic Universe, whether or not they're a foil to show how bad, how devastating the villain is or what have you. They've been, at at some point in time, authorities of any type, law enforcement, National Guard, Air Force, what have you, has always been a part of at least some point in the movie, at least for a few seconds going on screen, to show how inept they are at the very least. But it's.
You think they did because it didn't take place in anywhere but Wakanda on Earth? I mean, other than the ring above New York, and that for that, like.
Well, that's what I mean. Don't you think some jet fighters would have gone out and tried to see if they could blast it?
They were still trapped in the dark world after Thor.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Marvel has a nasty trying to erase anything from the past. And as we saw with Thor Ragnarok in the first few minutes, didn't they try very hard to just put this big giant eraser on everything they did in the first two movies? This is more of the same, although I think it was done more effectively this time than out and out saying like they did in Ragnarok. We didn't really want to continue anything that was done in the previous two installments.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of felt like that, but they had, again, like I wish they would have elaborated on it, but it felt like they had a lot of story to tell in such like a short amount of time to tell it. So
in Infinity War?
In Infinity War.
Well, that's why I thought they were going to split it into two parts.
Well, they are, so it makes me wonder like what the original script looked like.
Well, it does feel like a part one. I mean, even with Thor at the end becoming the victor and just chilling and just enjoying his dirty work. Even though I thought Josh Brolin as Thanos did an outstanding job of carrying the movie, and you actually kind of empathize in some form or fashion with what he's doing because of the fact that he's looking at it from a logistical point of view. So he's not doing it because of purely evil reasons. He's doing it because he feels it necessary to do so. So that's
yeah, he thinks he's right, and that's what makes a terrifying villain.
He thinks he's doing a service.
Exactly. So yes, I think Josh Brolin did a tremendous job in that role, and I think it's something that he's at least one of the, because we've talked about Marvel villains for the most part being underwhelming. I think at this point in time, Josh Brolin's Thanos is just truly one of the top Marvel villains that's ever been created.
Josh Brolin is the man at the moment. He's Thanos and Cable.
And also as well, Sicario 2. He's going to be in that one as well. So as we said on the previous show with Tyler Baker, again, thanks Tyler for sticking in, for stepping into for Josh here on Monday. But as we said, as we talked about, this is the summer of Josh Brolin.
He does.
But before we continue on this, just want to make sure and let everybody know out there, because we're going to be coming back a little bit later on in the episode. We're going to be closing out with some final thoughts, and actually basically what we're going to do is just going to be not only one thing that we think is going to happen in the next movie, but also as well why you should go see Infinity War. We're going to sound off each one of us on our reasons why. And then also as well, we've got coming up Rob McCallum in the Cosmic Crossfire. And also as well, we've got Daphne Matthew from the Walking Dead fan base talking the future of the Walking Dead. Just want to let you know that where did I put it? Oh, want to make sure and let you know our shows are being streamed 7 days a week on online radio, and that we deliver 2 brand new shows covering the latest in pop culture every Monday and Friday to Apple Podcasts or our over 30 different podcast networks. Maybe 3 a week. You never know. Just subscribe to any one of them on the Pop Culture Cosmos channel to get extra content, or just check out the Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook page for our entire radio schedule and the list of those podcast networks. Josh, before we head on out to the break, I know you got a great thing going on with Humanica Media and your 50,000 shows that are on that network. What's going on, my friend, with you and Big Dog and everyone else at Humanica Media?
Good question. We actually yesterday we did a little interview with a band called Young Ghosts, and how do you think that went, man?
I thought it went really well. It was their first interview ever.
It was their first, yeah. We got the exclusive, the only exclusive, the very first and only exclusive by Young Ghosts, and you can check that out today. It actually just dropped. Well, by the time you hear this, it'll be out. It'll have been out for a few days, but yeah, it's up. Check it out. You can check them out on Facebook. They're a metalcore band with from Florida, so you know they have a lot of time to play music out there. And also, there's a new episode of the Super BS Gamescast dropping on Thursday night, and then there's some new Inside Sports going up here soon too.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. And there's a lot of great things going on with Humanica Media, so you got to check it out today on their Podbean channel, also as well their YouTube channel, and of course all their shows on Apple Podcasts. Coming up again right after the break, we've got Rob McCallum talking The Simpsons. Right after that, we've got Daphne Matthew from the Walking Dead fan base. She's going to be talking the future of the Walking Dead, and then we'll be back with some final thoughts on Avengers Infinity War. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're back to close out the show. This is the Pop Culture. This is the PCC.
Hey, sorry, real quick, man. Sorry, I wasn't sure what time did you say you had to go?
I gotta be I can leave at 6:30.
Okay,
so
I
good.
just wanted to make sure we weren't going on too long.
Oh yeah. Oh no worries. I got it right there in the corner.
Okay.
So 6:30. I gotta be. But this is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with the PCC Multiverse to close out the program. This is Gerald Glassford, along with Big Dog and, of course, Josh Peterson as well. Well, thanks so much to Rob McCallum for stepping into the Cosmic Crossfire, and also as well Daphne Matthew from the Walking Dead fan base, one of the largest Walking Dead fan groups that are out there. Check them out today on Facebook, either their page or the great group that they have. That's such an outstanding community that interacts with each other on everything Walking Dead. But we're here to close out the show, as I said, with our final thoughts on Avengers Infinity War. Big Dog, I'll start with you. I'll tell you what, it's such an amazing adventure. Your thoughts on what you think they were going to do. One thing that you think they're going to do in the next installment, the part 2, for lack of a better term. Then also as well, your total thoughts on the actual movie itself and why people should make their way to go see Avengers Infinity War.
Sure. I think that in the next movie, it's going to be kind of kind of a reconciliation with like you said, like the original Avengers. You have the original cast back together. I think is going to have a kind of some kind of reconciliation between Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, Captain America, and I think that it's gonna. I want to say that they're kind of banking on Thanos having somewhat of a change of heart, uh, since Doctor Strange straight up gave him the Eye of Agamotto. He said that was is the only way to get to the end game. So I think that something along those lines, and then they're gonna. It's also gonna involve Captain Marvel and the Wasp and all that. But I think that they're gonna. It's gonna more of the same. I think it's gonna be more of like a serious movie, less jokes than this one. I think more of a serious tone to the film since really all of the jokesters are gone.
True.
But
Tony Stark, although Tony Stark is still there.
he's still there, but I think he's going to be more serious since he had such
That moment with Spider-Man.
with Spider-Man, and it was a real jerker, and he got hurt and stabbed, and so it's going to be epic. I think it's going to close out that major story arc. But you should definitely go see it because it is. I don't want to say it's the culmination of everything you've been waiting for, but it kind of is. Like you're waiting to see everybody together, in one film or two, two films how you want to see it, but just coming together into it, and it really is expanding the universe of the Marvel universe, is because they go into all these different places. You've got Thor out in space, not just going to Asgard or to Earth. You've got the Guardians of the Galaxy coming to Earth for the first time. Well, I think no, they didn't, but they're going to. I feel.
Well, the Guardians of the Galaxy did come to Earth.
Did they?
In Wakanda. Yeah, Groot and Rocket Raccoon.
Right. So yeah, that's the first time they've been on Earth, and it's just a
ironically, Peter Quill's the one who didn't.
Peter Quill's the one who didn't. But it's such a journey for all these films that you spent all this time watching, going to the movies, paying all the money, seeing all these people in separate films, and now you finally get to see how they interact with each other in this film. I know we had a little bit in the first Avengers and then the second Age of Ultron, but I feel like in this one it's all coming together.
Josh, your thoughts? And then also as well, why people should make their way to go see Avengers Infinity War?
I have a theory. I think that Doctor Strange is not as dead as we think he is, because he is a master of illusion. He has the ability to walk in multiple worlds. I think that he just made it seem like he was dying. Maybe he pulled some kind of Lord Voldemort and split himself into separate beings, and he's going to have a key part in bringing the gang back together.
Do you think that his body died, but his spirit is in the astral plane?
Yeah, it's possible. We saw what he did in Doctor Strange, where he had his. Yep, I think it's entirely possible. I'm predicting that Thor is going to have a pretty big part to play, because he actually has the only weapon that can harm Thanos. And I don't know, man. I feel like the characters like Black Panther and I was about to say Black Spider-Man. I don't know. Black Panther and Spider-Man, I feel like they're going to have a role to play in the movie. They're not going to stay dead because they sell tickets and people really like those characters. So there has to be some kind of epic battle. It's not just going to be a 3-hour conversation with Thanos. It's not going to be like a what do you call that? Like an intervention or something. There's going to have to be like a big battle scene, and people should go see it just because this is it, man. This is the reason we started watching these things in the first place. Like you said, it's what it's all been building up to. And I'm also going to predict that there's going to be 1 or 2 major deaths, like prominent deaths, that prominent and permanent and pertinent, that just kind of stay that way.
I agree with you on that. I think Cap and Iron Man, their time is short. Their time is limited. In fact, both have mentioned that their contracts are up. Chris Evans has already said he is finished filming Avengers 4 and that he's pretty much done unless they do some reshoots of any kind, which leads me to believe that unless he gets re-signed for a future road down there, which he has said he's not exactly interested in doing at this point in time, But you never know. Things may change. But at this point in time, I agree with you on two major deaths being Cap and Iron Man. I think Black Widow will live because it's been rumored that they have started a scriptwriter for a Black Widow movie, and finally, possibly a Black Widow movie could materialize at some point in time down the road, unless she gets killed too, and they do it, and they do a movie that's based in the past, similar to what they're doing with Captain Marvel. We'll have to wait and see on that one too. But as far as my thoughts on the actual film itself, it is a tremendous, epic adventure. It is something that, like you said, Big Dog, people have been waiting for 10 years and 18 films for this to lead up. And there has been nothing else like it ever done as far as this much into a story timeline, a continuous timeline. You can't go Star Wars. You can't even go Bond, because Bond has more films, but has never had a continuous timeline like this.
Yeah.
It's all leading up to a collaborative effort, a coordinated effort to Avengers Infinity War. And it is something that, for the most part, with some minor quibbles here and there, because with so much to do, people are always going to have quibbles. But for the most part, it is truly an outstanding film. The Russos did a tremendous job with this picture, with having to juggle so much and so many different storylines and so many different groups, that it just was so hard to give everyone equal time in the spotlight. But everyone does get a chance to shine as far as the heroes are concerned. And I think it's just truly an incredible venture that you cannot afford to miss while it's on the big screen. Sure, it's going to look great on 4K. Sure, it's going to look great on streaming. But this is a movie that you need to take the kids to, that you need to experience yourself on the big screen, because this is something that you'll probably remember for a long time to come. Plus, it also has probably the most expensive after credit scene ever. So got to check that out as well.
True.
But one last question before we go, guys. With Avengers Infinity War, it's truly been great talking to you both on this. But one last thing. Do you think it will make $2 billion? Because right now it made, in it, like I said on our previous show, it made over $630 million worldwide in its first weekend, over $258 million domestically. Do you think it'll have enough juice to go over that vaunted $2 billion mark and move ahead of Star Wars: The Force Awakens?
I think so. I mean, at this point, I feel like it's gonna actually, Solo is actually in danger of being dwarfed by people still going to see Infinity War.
I agree. Since the Last Jedi was so disappointing, I guess just disappointing is the word, but
polarizing as well. Yeah,
I think people are kind of a little bit over it. From all the comments that I've seen about the Solo film, I want to go see it because it looks pretty good in the trailers. But from what I've read, everybody's kind of over Star Wars at the moment, because they just feel like Disney's just churning out movies just to make money without, caring about what people think about the franchise or the story. But if anybody's gonna do it, I feel like this is the film that will push the I don't know, or it could be the next one, because everybody's gonna talk about, well, is everybody coming back? So everybody's gonna want to see if they come back. So
maybe it's both, because remember, Black Panther, you can still see Black Panther in theaters right now.
Can you?
Yeah.
Yes, it actually finished in the top 5 domestically last weekend.
Interesting.
So I think that this is gonna have the juice that could be the one that
have they opened up
it.
Is it gonna be in the Chinese market? Because I know you said that they don't like time travel, but there was.
Wait, yeah, this movie Infinity War is going to be debuting at some point in time in China. It hasn't even debuted there as of yet.
It does have the juice. It did all that. It's gotten this far. Without that, I think that'll be enough to push it over the edge.
Josh, and you said yes as well?
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
I think I personally didn't think it was going to make $2 billion. I know previously we had talked about that, but I've changed my mind. With that kind of momentum going forward, and the fact that it hasn't even hit the Chinese marketplace, it will go over $1 billion by this point in time this weekend. By the end of this weekend. So I think it will go over $2 billion. It probably won't touch Avatar. unfortunately, because I kind of would like it to actually pass Avatar, which is one of the reasons why Zoe Saldana's Gamora probably is in a permanent death, at least for right now, because of the fact that she's going to be filming the Avatar movies. So I would kind of like it to pass the Avatar movie, but we'll have to wait and see. I don't think it'll do that much, but I think it will go over $2 billion as well.
Get James Cameron to shut up.
Can't stand
Yeah, exactly.
time.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I appreciate you being on this show and being part of the PCC Multiverse. Any last thoughts on the way out?
Go see the movie. It is fantastic. It is awesome. Don't be one of those people who are like, wait till it comes out on Redbox. You need to see this in theaters.
You won't be disappointed.
Yeah, this is definitely a movie theater experience.
I'm trying to go ahead and check it out on IMAX this time because standard def was fine. It was awesome, but I want to see if I can experience it on an even better platform in IMAX the next time around. So for Big Dog and Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you so much for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.